Welcome everyone to the Trust the Plan podcast. I'm Nick Hopwood.
And I'm Jim Pilat.
Jim, welcome to the podcast.
Is this week 4 of the Michigan-Ohio State breakdown?
Now
We're done?
It's old news. Now we're on to the bowl game.
All right.
Rumor is it's going to be in Tampa, which maybe I can go to it then.
That'd be cool.
So courtesy of Michael Kitsis, here we have this family tree for IRAs. Okay, so this is becoming more and more and more of a topic because back in the day, when you passed away, let's say I have an IRA and my kid is the beneficiary, they just take a required minimum distribution forever, and that's it. Very simple, right? No decisions for the most part. Just stretch it out.
Yeah.
I mean, those are the good old days. But now with the Secure Act, which was passed in 2019, it's caused all kinds of trauma, really, if you ask me, when it comes to these beneficiary situations because of confusion about the rule and other things. But here we are finally with definitive guidance from the IRS 5 years later. So here's the deal, okay? We're going to kind of walk you through this, right? So, Jim, let's use some examples, right?
Okay.
Kind of storytelling is a good way to express this. So let's say that I'm not married, no kids, and I want to give all my money to charity. Okay? This happens all the time, right? Okay. So I have money in an IRA, and I pass away, and I named like the Cancer Society or the local, someone like New Hope or what's the veterinarian place?
Humane Society.
Yeah, the Humane Society, right? Because I love dogs. Okay. So if I'm 45 and I die, the charity has 5 years to distribute the money, right? So it can stay invested for 5 years, but usually when it's a charity, they just take the money and cash it out.
You sell pretty quick, yeah.
Yeah. So if I named my trust the beneficiary and there were no clear individual people named, then whoever the beneficiary ends up being, they have 5 years to cash it out. Okay. If I'm 45, then they don't have to take required minimum distributions. But if I were 75, then they would have to take required minimum distributions. But in that type of scenario, people just cash it out. Okay. Now, the most common that we see, where I'm married and I die, and I name my wife. What happens then?
Then your wife at that point has the option to now make that IRA her own, right? She can take it, put it into her own IRA, and that money becomes hers. And now her required beginning date and all those things are lined up with her age and date of birth and so forth.
So that's the most common. That's probably 9 out of 10 times for married couples. They put the IRA in their own name as if it was their own forever. It's almost like I get erased.
Yeah.
I get erased from history. Okay. What if my wife predeceases me and I name my children as beneficiaries? This is also very, very common.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, or when the second surviving spouse finally passes, the kids are now next in line. They don't have the same opportunity to take that and put it into their own IRA. It can't become their own. They have to abide by a 10-year withdrawal period.
Okay. So then this is where tax planning becomes quite interesting. Okay. So for some people, it might make sense to take 10 equal payments from that IRA. Okay. And so let's say my mom dies today and I become the beneficiary and I set up a beneficiary IRA. Well, I'm 45. So I'm going to be working longer than 10 years. Okay. So I might just take 10 equal payments.
Right.
Because, that marginal payment is not going to put me into a new tax bracket. Right. Whereas if I were 60, maybe I'm not going to be working 10 years. Right. I might take that required minimum only in my working years. And then when my working income stops, take the rest because it's going to be at a lower tax bracket.
Yep.
Right. So the point is, for these non-spouse beneficiaries, we have to take a little bit each year if the beneficiary was of RMD age,
Yeah.
but they still have a little bit of flexibility. But what can be scary is that in that 10th year, if there's a lot of money still in there, they have to take the full amount out, which then could put them in a higher tax
Yeah,
bracket.
adds right on top of their income for the year.
Yeah. Now, there is another classification where if my mom, let's say my mom is not of RMD age, let's say she's 65, and I inherit the money. Well, then I don't have to take required minimum distributions because she didn't have to, but then I have to take it all out in the 10th year.
Yeah, that's probably the part where there's been the most confusion, right? Is if you as a non-spouse beneficiary, a child or whatever, your parents are gone, do you have to take an RMD on that money? The answer is it depends. It depends on if your parents had already begun their RMDs. If they have, then yes, you need to continue to take an RMD each year with the full balance being depleted in 10 years. Or if they have not yet hit that required beginning age, then you do not need to take a required minimum each year, only the full balance of that account depleted within 10 years.
You lost me. I'm just
Is that
kidding.
it? Did we cover it?
Now, our goal here was to help clarify it, Jim, okay?
I know, right?
So hopefully this provides a little bit of clarification. Of course, maybe our goal was just to confuse you so you would call us and we could just give you the answer. I don't know. But ultimately, we do have the answers for you. So if you do have a beneficiary IRA account, if you're trying to figure out what to do with it, you're not sure about the required minimums, you're not sure about the tax strategy, we can walk you through it. And you can schedule time with us at peakwm.com. Thanks.